Rolling Dice and Taking Names is sponsored by The Broken Token, creator of high-quality gaming accessories and storage solutions. Visit them online at thebrokentoken.com.
Hey y'all, it's time for another episode of Rolling Dice and Taking Names.
Vanessa, don't talk to your mouth full.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm still eating the pie from when we played Pie Town. And on this episode of Rolling Dice and Taking Names, the guys review Pie Town and Fog of Love. They also reveal a brand new logo and have other 5th anniversary surprises. Now give me another bite.
Happy anniversary, baby. Got you on my mind. Happy anniversary, baby. Got you on my mind.
Little River Band's happy anniversary can only mean one thing. This is our anniversary episode of Rolling Dice and Taking Names. This is episode 134. Never Gonna Give You Up. I'm Marty.
I'm Tony.
What an appropriate name for this episode. Never Gonna Give You Up. Now, I'm just going to say that this is addressed to the people listening and not necessarily each other, because that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I would think so. But then again, if you Google bromance songs, this one did appear.
This one comes up?
Yeah, along with a bunch of other ones. Or I could have just picked it because people have been trying to get me to rickroll for a long time in the guild. Still hasn't happened. Thank you very much. But one of my favorite comments when I listened to the song when I picked this was, I'm probably the only person watching this video because I want to.
You mentioned Rickroll, which is the interesting fact about this song. Now, a lot of people know what Rickrolled means when there's a link to something and it links to this episode. That actually came about.
I didn't.
No, you didn't until, about a year or so ago?
Yep.
When it actually came up on this show and you had never heard of it before.
Never heard of it.
And ever since then, people have been trying to Rickroll you inside the guild.
That is correct.
And they've failed.
They haven't done it, especially if certain people who I know are trying to get me to rickroll, they're not going to do it. Not going to happen.
So it actually started in about 2007 when various websites, including like an online anti-Scientology group and a Radiohead site, had posted these links that resembled normal click-throughs, offering links to another news and stuff like that. But it took them to the 1987 video of Rick Astley singing this song on YouTube. What's funny is he was aware of this internet prank, which became known as Rickrolling, and it resulted in millions of hits for his song on YouTube. And he says it's kind of weird that he's part of that culture, that all of a sudden this video from, almost 20 years ago has now popped up and played everywhere. But it's like, hey, it's extra clicks for his video.
Right. Now, when did this song come out? Was it in the late?
It came out in 1987.
1987.
I thought it was when we're dating ourselves here, college.
Yes. So I'm trying to remember back. So that puts me 1987. Oh, it was right before I started working at Camelot Music, and I remember the videos and everything. So
this song is 30 years old.
Wow. I cannot believe that.
So, Never Gonna Give You Up, meaning, hey, it's been 5 years since we have been making this podcast, and it's been a great 5 years. And one of the things that keeps us going is the people that listens to this show. And for this special episode, Tony and I are actually sitting face to face and recording.
That's right, because my studio is currently in boxes.
That's right. So if you happen to hear some echo in this recording, it's because Tony and I are not sitting in our usual little studio spaces, so we apologize for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why the remote recording in your basement where we play games, we can't put in some soundproofing. Whatever happened, I understand you went to an incredible recording area in the basement of someone else's place.
You're talking about Jamie from the Secret Cabal.
Well,
yes,
we didn't have to give him credit. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing is, Jamie has a nice space, but he has this one room that has all this sound dampening cloth material around the room. We're sitting in a pretty large space right now. I don't think Vanessa would be crazy about moving blankets being hung up or foam being hung up all over the walls.
I got you some moving blankets.
Maybe I'll take you up on some of those.
I got
maybe
you
I'll
some
find
moving
another
blankets.
space and record into.
But it is so festive down here. Vanessa, as always, has gone out for the holiday season. I mean, we've got 4 or 5 trees down. No, I'm counting 3 trees that I can see just sitting here.
That's 3 of the 14.
3. Oh my, that's and you know how many I got up?
Well, none, because you're in the process of moving.
Yeah, that's right. Mine's currently in a storage unit. By the way, if anybody would like a 9-foot Fraser fur, you just let me know. I might be able to hook you up there. It's not self-lit, so I'm so happy I'm not running lights this year. So happy.
People, you heard correctly. That's 14 trees. And I just want to give you a clarification for a tree to be counted in this house, and this is Vanessa's rules, my wife, is that it must be at least 5 foot and it has to be decorated.
So 5 years ago, how many trees did you have?
I don't remember. It seems like we add one every year. So let's say 9. Yeah, it seems like one is added every year.
I mean, I'm liking, I've got a Looney Tunes tree here, and I've got a Star Wars tree. I got no idea what the tree is in the guest bedroom is where I get to spend while I'm between houses or things like that. I don't know what that one is. It's white. I know that. What is that? What's that tree? The reindeer tree or something?
That is our Uncanny Valley tree.
What is that?
So there's all these, you know what the term Uncanny Valley is?
No, that's why I asked, what is that?
All right, I'm going to tell you, and I'm just going to read the definition because it would make more sense than me trying to explain it. The concept of Uncanny Valley suggests that humanoid objects which appear almost but not exactly like real humans elicit uncanny or strangely familiar feelings and eeriness. So on that tree are these really old homemade ornaments and ornaments from a long time ago where they have weird looking eyes and it's just creepy kind of looking thing. You know, did you ever watch Polar Express? You know how everybody's talked about in those movies where the animation, the eyes look weird?
Yes.
Uncanny Valley. I was like, there's something humanoid about it, but it's eerie.
Or it gives you that eerie feeling, kind of like a game we're going to talk about tonight. Fog of Love.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which also happens to kind of fit the title of this episode, Never Gonna Give You Up. Because, yes, Tony and I played Fog of Love, and that was interesting.
Yes, it was very interesting from the standpoint of just some of the cards. And we'll talk about that later in the show. But 5 years. I gave us 6 months. We're at 5 years.
He did. I don't know if that's on a recording somewhere. And I think it's probably somewhere in the shows. It's like this is still going on, and you honestly thought this would be only 6 months, and here we are, 5 years down the road, and we're still going strong.
I mean, what was going on 5 years ago? What were some of the big things happening?
When I went back and looked at some information from 2012, I pulled up a lot of pop culture stuff. We tend to talk about pop culture things here, especially like movies. So the top movies from 2012, this is U.S. grossing, was Avengers. I can't believe that movie's 5 years old.
I can.
Dark Knight Rises.
Just watched that the other night.
Compared to the second one, it's
okay. Well, no one can beat the Joker.
No, they can't. And then Hunger Games. It was the first of the Hunger Games, which obviously started a series that came out over the next several years. So those are your top movies from 2012.
Avengers is always and probably forever be my favorite one
of the entire series. Have you? What's your second then?
Come back to me on that while I play it through my mind because there's a lot. Probably Iron Man. Iron Man,
the first Iron Man.
First Iron Man.
I mean, it was a great way to kick it off. Up there for me is Winter Soldier's up there for me. The first Guardians I really enjoyed. The last Thor I really enjoyed too.
Speaking of which, I just went and saw Justice League. We took a break from packing and, well, okay, go back to episode number 133 and just whatever Marty was saying, I agree with. We're not going to belabor the point.
So, I mean, it just didn't blow your socks off or what was it?
Let's see. Donna fell asleep.
Really? In the theater?
In the theater. I had to wake her up. She fell asleep for about 10 minutes, I think. It was during one of the fight scenes. She was like, it would just bored the mess out of me. She was just like, this is just not going. And I don't know why. I mean, it made me chuckle here and there.
Okay.
But
they were trying to go for that.
They were trying to go for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they achieved it. And I'm just like, Wonder Woman set such a high bar, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not going to say anything really, really negative about it, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed seeing some of the characters.
So wait a minute. Donna didn't stay awake just to see Aquaman?
No, she could care less.
What? Every woman I know of goes to see JLA and just swoons over that actor.
She thought it was just silly.
Okay, moving on. Top songs based on Billboard from 2012. Somebody I Used to Know by Gautier. And you said you didn't know that song?
No clue. I know you got Alexa down here, but that's okay. You don't need to play it. No, I have no reason. No.
Hold on. I think you know it. Alexa, play Somebody I Used to Know by Gautier.
Somebody That I Used to Know by Gautier.
Okay, fine. Gautier, Alexa. Geesh.
Okay. Hurry up, Alexa, get to the chorus. Is this thing not smart enough to get to the chorus? Okay. I think it's coming back to me. Please stop. Just stop it.
Alexa, stop. So, see, you did know it.
Yes, I did, and now we'll just move on.
Okay. Call Me Maybe.
Oh, yes, definitely know that one.
We Are Young. Those are your top 3 songs.
Okay, we are young. Just it's not ringing. I'm old.
Because
5
we
years.
aren't.
We aren't.
That's why.
That's it. I got no clue.
All right. Top albums from 2012. Now, these I'm sure you've heard of.
Wait a minute. Do they still make albums?
Well, I mean, a collection of songs.
Okay.
Maybe not a physical LP.
Well, I mean, vinyl is everywhere now.
Well, yeah, look over here. I have a record player in my basement and a stack of albums, and my sons love going back into record stores, like used stores, and buying albums and coming down here and play them on the stereo.
Well, I just gave away a bunch of 45s. If you could find do they still make the little discs that go in the 45s?
There's a little adapter inside this thing.
Okay, so you don't have to put the little disc where you popped it in?
No, it's just a little adapter. No. Even when I was growing up, you didn't have to put the little disc in.
Oh, I did.
There was a little ring that set over the center. People are like, what are y'all talking about? So with record players, there were the big albums, and then there were the little 45s, and the little 45s had a bigger hole, and you had to put a little plastic cap in the hole so it fit over the spindle where you put the record on. But some of the fancy record players had the little thing from the bottom that would come up from the bottom of the spindle, and just slide it right over top of it.
See, you have fancy. I didn't have fancy.
Okay, well, it wasn't that great. Okay, top albums of 2012. 21 by Adele.
Okay,
Now,
yeah.
You know Adele.
I know Adele.
Christmas by Michael Bublé, which people are probably going to turn on the radio right now since it's the Christmas season and hear songs from that album.
Yes.
And then Take Care from Drake.
Sure.
Love the Drake.
Okay, good.
Love the Drake.
I don't know the Drake. The Drake,
Okay.
isn't that a dragon?
So, Tony, that okay, for everybody out there, that reference just went straight over Tony's head. So, after you hear this, go to our guild at 1589.
That's Guild 1589.
And tell him the reference of Love the Drake, where that's from. And I'm sure there's people out there that know it, and they're probably like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Top new television shows from 2012. These are shows that premiered in 2012. Include Arrow,
Okay.
which I used to love.
Never saw.
And then it went downhill, and I stopped watching. Longmire on A&E, which I've heard is good, but never watched.
Never watched
and
it.
Scandal on ABC.
Started it, stopped it.
Okay, well, it's on the wrong channel for you. It's not.
It's not CBS.
It's not
but,
CBS.
Yeah, we watched Scandal. We enjoyed the first season, stopped in the second season.
Oh, there you go. Now, probably more important, since this is a board game podcast, which people are probably surprised at, top games based on BGG rating that came out in 2012.
Okay.
Number 1, Terra Mystica.
One of your faves.
It is one of my faves, and it's kind of appropriate that it was in the first year that we started recording. Next, War of the Rings, 2nd edition,
Which we still haven't played.
which I have the nice Uber Collector's Edition sitting over there yet to be played, which
All right.
I can't wait to play sometime. Robinson Crusoe, which just came out the 2nd edition.
One of my faves, especially now, which we're going to talk about.
Yes, Zolkin.
Never played.
I did, and then I sold it because I just didn't get it to the table a lot. And then a game that you and I were obsessed with for about 2 years, Netrunner.
Netrunner, man, yeah, that's all we talked about for the first year on this podcast.
It was, and it's actually one of the things that may have actually driven us to start the podcast, because it had that resurgence of us getting together, collecting cards and playing the games like we used to with the Lord of the Rings.
I just thought it was so that you could fill your time in the evenings.
Well, yeah, and it's still
And then
filling time
before
in the
you're
evenings.
recording and editing and all that other stuff. So, you know.
I mean, that's what was going on 5 years ago. But what's amazing is how much just the industry itself has changed.
Yes.
And I sent you an article that was came out on ICV2. It was interviewed Christian Peterson, who's the head of Asmodee North America, and he was just talking about how the landscape is different. And he actually made reference, 5 years ago it was like this. One of the big things was, he says when he first got into this hobby, he said he could go into a game store and there were empty shelves everywhere. He said there was plenty of space for new games to come out. But what's happened recently is that there are more games coming out then the people are coming into the hobby. And so now games are fighting for shelf space, and actually games are finding a hard time to even catch a foothold, even good ones.
I can see that. I mean, games are fighting for shelf space in your personal collections now. It's very hard for them to even stay on your shelves. I mean, you've got to figure out which ones do I want to put there. You just can't, you don't have infinite room. You don't have infinite time to play that. So I can see that. I mean, 5 years ago, you and I were always in Netrunner. I mean, we didn't have this well, what's now out? What's coming out now? So 5 years ago, we were like, oh, cool, a new expansion pack for Netrunner. I got $15 to plop down. Now it's like, oh, man.
Or it was the fact that we were still pulling out the evergreen titles. The evergreens meaning the one that...
Puerto Rico!
Yeah, Puerto Rico. Or Ticket to Ride for you. I mean...
So good.
It was just one of those things that we just always pull it off the shelf and play. In fact, I have a quote here where he kind of referenced something like that. He said, I've heard also from many sources in the industry that the tale of games, TAIL, has been affected to where it's becoming kind of a boom and bust mentality. A game comes out. If it doesn't hit in the first 2 weeks, it's done and you move on. When in years past, games had a little bit more time to find their feet and take root with an audience. And we are totally seeing that, Tony.
Yeah.
When a game comes out, literally it's probably 2 to 3 weeks. If that game's not seen all over YouTube or seen all over BGG or on the hotness, it will just fade to obscurity, even if it's a really good game.
Yeah, and or not even get picked up. I mean, talk about Gentis. If we hadn't received a copy, it would have gone. We would have never seen. And for us, that was such a good game. And luckily, it has picked up a publisher and a groundswell that goes with it. But you're absolutely right. There's just so much out there. And I mean, even when you listen to like Steven and Ignacy on their podcast, they talk about just how many games that they're coming out and what they're having to do to battle to get the games out there for people to see.
And at Essen, was it, God, over a thousand games, new titles came out? How many of those will stick?
Right.
15 to 20?
Maybe.
Yeah. And a year from now, those 15 to 20 may be collecting dust on a shelf somewhere. So when we first started into this, like you said, it was easy to find a game and people be playing it for months and months and months. And maybe that's why there's a big interest and push for legacy style games, because it forces you to kind of get the same game to the table over and over.
Yeah. And I think a lot of what I'm experiencing is with my wife, she will always go back to her phase of Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, and Catan, mostly because she's tired of trying to learn new games. Now, I don't know if that has anything to do with this article. Fine. But to be honest, 5 years ago when we got into it, these were the games I taught her. These are the games that she remembers. And she's constantly saying, I'm like, well, it's like, and she goes, if it's like, why can't I play the original?
I can't argue with that logic.
I try to, but it's useless for me. I'm not going to win that argument. And I'm like, you're absolutely right.
And so for us, it's definitely been a big change as far as just the show goes, because it was so easy we have a couple games to choose from. We could get those out. We could talk about them and everything. And now it's just new games constantly that we can't even keep up. So you and I, for the content of this show, are kind of having to just kind of pick and choose. These are the games we really want to talk about, and that's the ones that we cover.
Yeah, spend our money on and talk about. These are the ones.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes we get review copies, and then sometimes we actually pay money on stuff that, it's like, we just want to check this out, and that's kind of how we've gotten to the point here.
Yeah, or sometimes we'll just go to somebody's house and borrow them off their shelf and leave a promissory note. Like, hey, Mark, I'm going to borrow this. Mark, are you in the room? Oh, well, he won't notice. He's got all that. I can just, it's kind of like you. I peruse your shelves over there, and I try to decide which games I'm going to take off your shelf, like you're going to notice it.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you came over here, can I borrow this? Well, yeah, sure, because I probably won't get it played or play it.
Which reminds me, Azul.
Yeah, you want to borrow it?
Of course.
Well, yeah, it's right over there.
Okay.
Well, you can take it. That's a great game. Yeah. And it's probably one of those reasons, too. It's because of the games that we want to pick and play and talk about. It's like we don't have a lot of games. It's like that was just really bad because we're so picky now about the games that you and I want to play and talk about on the show that we probably have at least enough of an interest to each play it. Maybe it's not a favorite game of ours, but it's nothing that's probably just going to just stink like fish.
This is, yes, I would
And
agree.
it's because we've spent 5 years and we could probably look at a game and realize this is something I'll probably like. This is something I probably won't like.
Yeah, but to your point about stink like fish, I think with all these games coming out, the 1,000 games that are coming out, publishers realize that, hey, they can't let a single stink like fish hit because that could be the death of them. So the game play, the game evolution has really ratcheted up. I mean, our good buddy Nate, he's probably sitting there. He wants to be a budding designer. He's got to really bring his A game.
Well, he is a budding designer. He released Sunday Split, which is very popular with Renegade Games, and I think that's a tough space to get into. How many party games come out a year?
I don't know. I'm not a party
Well,
animal.
I mean, I know, but I'm just saying. But there's all these, $15 to $25 games that are constantly coming out that are having to compete with each other. That's why it's great that somebody like Nate was able to find a little twist in a game or a genre to get some people interested in, because he's having to compete against all these other games that are coming out with the same style of gameplay.
Speaking of Sunday Split, we got to play another game we're going to talk about called Pie Town, because we're all about food here.
Now that is, over the past 5 years, the integration of food has happened more and more. We went, from 5 years ago, hey, we're a podcast and we're going to try to introduce people to this hobby and how it works too. It's like, let's share some recipes on stuff that we've had a chance to eat and everything like that. The moon pies got attached to us several years ago. And we kind of associated with that, and we both love our food, and it's kind of become an integral part of the show.
Yes, I remember, our interview with Rob Davia, some of the great episodes that we've had in the past with Rob and Matt, and then Rob again when he came on started talking about steaks, and that was just so good. And somehow we always try to bring that in with any of the designers that we've had on. Ignacy has been on numerous times in the past 5 years.
Yeah, we've been privileged to have a lot of designers on the show. I mean, Eric Lang's come on the show, and I don't know if we've talked to Eric about food.
Yes. I'm sure we talked about it.
Well, I know I talked to Eric about music.
Okay.
Eric is a heavy metal guy. He plays guitar and stuff like that. So he and I like to get together and chat about music. But yeah, Rob has all these great ideas about the grilling and stuff. He's the one that told us about the reverse sear?
Yes.
For steak, which I've still yet to do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and in fact, with the Pie Town that we're getting ready to talk about, Vanessa, my wife, sat in and played with us so we could have a 3-player game of this. And she said, I will play Pie Town with you guys on one condition.
And that condition was?
She said that I want you and I to make our own homemade pies, and we eat those pies while we play Pie Town. Heck yeah, that's something that I'll do. If that's easy, I thought she was going to say, I got to go repaint a room or clean up the garage or something like that. So I can handle this. So she and I had a great time looking through recipes and stuff like that, trying to find something to make, but it was supposed to be a secret.
Okay.
So I did go the easy route. I was going to go look for something that was not a fruity pie. I didn't want a fruity pie.
I understand.
I wanted something else, and I found this thing, and I tried it out. It's called the Gooey Chocolate Chip Cookie Pie. That turned out pretty darn good.
It was good. Yeah, you did good.
It's like a thick
I
chocolate
learned something
chip
about
cookie.
you. Well, you can actually use an oven. I'm proud of you.
Okay, it really wasn't that hard. I mean, I did have to use a blender, a mixer, a handheld mixer.
Good for
so
you.
I had to whip some eggs together for 3 minutes and get them all foamy, and then add all the ingredients and everything. But it turned out well. But Vanessa's the one. She was like, "No, I'm going to make my own homemade concoction." So she came up with this idea that she calls her moon pie, or moon pie squared.
Pi R round, pi R not squared.
That's right. She took these moon pies and pulled them apart and put a bottom layer of moon pie on the bottom. Then kind of came up with this peanut butter concoction, like this filling to put in the middle. Then put the top of the moon pies. Then put melted or some sort of chocolate on top, and then put it in the refrigerator where the chocolate hardened. It was like an eclair type.
It was an eclair type, yeah.
That was good.
Very moussey peanut butter.
Moussey. Yeah, that's what the consistency was. But for her just to kind of come up with that on a whim, it was pretty darn good.
Yes, some of my favorite shows are on the Food Network, and I enjoy that. I mean, I went to, what was it, Improper Pig here in Charlotte recently, which was on Triple D with old Guy himself. He was on that show.
Triple D meaning?
Yeah, that too. Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Thank you.
Did I get the name right? I always throw them around. That's why I call them Triple D.
That show.
So I tried, and I said, well, Donna, we're going to get the kale chips.
Okay. How were they?
They were interesting. I mean, it was like eating cotton candy kale. They had a kind of a very spicy mix on them.
Okay.
But when you would bite into them, it was like a chip, but they dissolved. So you were eating kale with the spicy seasoning to it, and then 3 hours later, you were still eating kale as you were burping. I'm just telling you. It hung with you.
So you get to taste it and then taste it again later.
Again, exactly. Kind of like, which we'll mention here, when you eat asparagus, you get to smell it later.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
thank you to the Pegs for having us on.
Yes, I think that's a callback to us being on the Blue Peg, Pink Peg show. We recorded our last episode a day before we went on their episode. And thank you so much for having on. And Tony closed out the show with the words,
Asparagus pea.
and to get the context to that, just go listen to the show. It will make sense in the scope of the show once you hear that asparagus pea, and you go, oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate them having us on. We did everything we could to derail them, to throw them off.
I think you derailed Rob a little bit. I think Rob was getting a little bit frustrated that we kept going off on these tangents of food. And we even got, was it Patrick or Christina to ask us our favorite flavor of Dorito? Like out of left field. And Rob's like, what is going on?
So appreciate them having us on, which are the squirrel moments. Over 5 years, we have had many squirrel moments where we suddenly start talking. And I don't know what the first one is. I remember one of my first squirrel moments where I talked about getting carded for buying spray paint at Walmart. That was, one of the first ones I think we threw in there, and they dwelled into something else that came up, the flying squirrel segment. So over 5 years, we've latched on the moon pies, the squirrel theme, along with, we had a squirrel shirt made up at a couple years ago. So we've had all that going on. So for 5 years, we have been slowly developing something here. Not sure what, but we've been developing it.
Another 5 years, maybe we'll finally about get there.
We might figure out a business plan here. Then again, maybe we won't. So, I mean, we've had some moments on here. We've had flushes.
yeah. There's famous flush that we had. Gosh, that was year 1 or 2, wasn't it?
Mr. Gibbs had the flush, and
who was actually designed our first logo. He had him on, and there was there was a toilet flush in the background that. For anybody who listens to the show, you may not know, I edit meticulously. I try to get out coughs and burps and scratches and thumps and stuff. Well, this was one I could not remove because something important was being said as the toilet was being flushed. It's like, well, I guess it's going to have to stay there.
And you wouldn't even ignore it. You had to say something about it. I was going to keep going, but no.
Well, it was there. You couldn't ignore the flush. I mean, you heard it, and then you think, is this guy sitting on the toilet being interviewed? Hey, wait a minute. Maybe that's a new interview segment. Interviews from the bathroom.
No, I think that's been done somewhere. I'm sure you can see many, many, many YouTubes. And I mean, we've also had our wives on. We've had them come on twice, 3, 4 times. Maybe Vanessa's been on more than Donna, and they have supported us over this 5 years. Matter of fact, I think they've come, well, I know Donna has, and I love you, baby, and I really do appreciate you letting me do this. So thank you so much for that. And it sounds like we're doing a goodbye show. I'm kind of liking this.
You kind of liking it. Swan song going on.
There it is. I mean, the 100th episode was incredible.
If you people, that's not the right way to say that. If all of you have yet to listen to the 100th episode, please go check it out. We got to do that. Gosh, I guess it was a little over a year ago, where we had some of our best friends who are also media creators come on and do a game show. And it was just a blast. We also introduced several years ago our Squirrelies, which Tony and I are actually getting ready to start into in the next few weeks, is determining what's going to be our Squirrely awards and nominations for this year. So that's our big award show that's going on. We've had special segments, recurring segments. Tony, you mentioned the squirrels. We have the Scurry Report, where we got a couple of our friends, Mark Kell and Nate Bivens, to start this year. And the whole idea of that was these guys are really into gaming. They're into designing and stuff. And it's really interesting interesting to hear from a point of aspect of these guys have been gaming for years and looking at designs of games, how they approach the games and what they think about them.
Yeah, we've had chit chat, and we're still working on trying to get Mandy and Suze back on.
But they won't return our calls because now they're on the Dice Tower, and supposedly they have people that we have to go through now.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think it is. We can't contact them directly anymore. I think there's a person that works for them that we must contact, and then they pass our information on to them. And it was like, hey, can I talk to Mandy and Suze? And then they put us on hold. And meanwhile, there's like an intercom system over the Dice Tower. And it's like Marty and Tony on the phone. It's like, tell them I'm not here.
But we got to move on.
We do have to move on. And it's moving on as in trying to get better and have some changes around here to keep us growing into in the next 5
changes
years.
are good, better, maybe not. Yes, I mean,
that's true.
I think the logo, Marty, it's served us well.
It has. We've had our same logo, again, designed by a good friend, Steve Gibbs, for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that logo was designed with the concept of something that we thought the show was going to be. And over the course of 5 years, and it's thanks to a lot of the people who listen to the show, who give us feedback, who answer our annual surveys about things they like and dislike about the show, that we've really spent a lot of time listening to you and tweaking to make this show something that we hope is fun and enjoyable to listen to.
Now, we're a cruise ship. We're not going to turn fast. We're going to turn slow, but we have finally done it. In this episode, we'd like to introduce to you the brand new Rolling Dice and Taking Names logo. It looks incredible.
Yes, it does. And again, with change, people may like, I don't know about this, but this is something Tony and I have been working on since the spring.
Yes, because we have no talent. It takes us that long.
No. Yeah, this is definitely not from us. We wanted something that was fun, that kind of encompassed the show, that looked like it was kind of whimsical and fun. And so the idea came of the squirrel thingy is in so many places.
Well, I mean, the squirrel shirt was so successful.
Yes, it was. It was way more successful than our regular logo shirt. Mm-hmm. And that's where the idea kind of came from. And if you haven't seen it, it's a squirrel that's sitting on the crescent moon, and he's fat because he's been eating too many moon pies, and people just really were attracted to that. Well, that logo was actually like a public image. It wasn't something we can own or sell or anything like that, so we had to make our own. And so we actually wanted to come up with something that incorporated a squirrel, maybe had like a sports logo look to it with a circular look to a lot of, minor league sports have a lot of really cool looking logos and everything. That was kind of where the idea came from. So we approached one of our good friends, a graphic designer, Susan Collins, who was here in Charlotte, and we worked with her, and she kind of worked on a graphic design for us.
She gave us the idea. She got us started. Mm-hmm. She got the ball rolling, because without her, other than us talking about, well, this is kind of what we want, there would have been no artistic capability there. And so Suzanne worked, and she tweaked, and she changed this, she changed that, and she gave us the idea. She said, what do you think, guys? And we were like, we love it. That's where we're going.
And so there was the idea of a concept of this animated, like a Looney Tunes or fun type squirrel in the middle. And so we wanted to really then focus on that. And this is where I was so excited. On a whim, I just took a chance and contacted game artist Fernanda Suarez, who's known for her art in Dead of Winter, who's known for her incredible art in the Ashes card game. Every card in that game is drawn by her. I love her artistic abilities, the way things look. We reached out to her, Tony, she lives in Peru, I believe. And I said, would you have any interest in possibly drawing a squirrel mascot for us? And without hesitation, she said she'd love to. And we were so giddy.
Yes, and so she took Suzanne's initial concepts, gave it the artistic touch.
Well, basically, if Suzanne was the graphic artist, then she was the illustrator.
Okay.
Is
that how that works?
I don't know. We're probably using the wrong terms, but she's the one that drew the squirrel. So the squirrel is directly from Fernand. She says, I never get to draw animals, so I'm excited about drawing animals because typically she draws human beings.
Mm-hmm. And so there you go. There's the logo. Boom. Go check it out. Buy the T-shirts. Get the mugs. Come on. What?
So
This is about merchandising 5 years later.
I know it is, but let me finish with the whole logo story. So anyway, she
Oh my
tweaked it,
gosh.
she worked. Anyway, it took 8 months to finally get this thing finalized, and we're trying to find the best time and the best way to promote this thing and introduce it. So we thought the 5th anniversary episode would be it. So if you want to go see it, go check out our website. Hopefully by now, Tony has switched over the logo on the website to the new one. Go check out our BGG Guild 1589. We're going to start swapping over the logos there. We also have a secondary logo, Tony, that we're in the process of getting a micro badge design for. Because people... Yeah.
Okay. I gotta go back and read emails.
Because right now we have a micro badge that people have been proudly displaying, and that is so great.
Yes.
Everybody has the little double meeple die micro badge, but we have a little secondary logo over like an acorn with RDTN that's going to be, we're going to put on dice and as a micro badge, and we want to get that design. And you're like, well, great, Marty, I already had this other one. Don't worry, between Tony and I, we've got a lot of geek gold, I hope. And remember, if you back BGG, you're going to get a little bonus at the end.
Well, yeah,
So
which is a good
BGG
plug
gold.
for BGG at this time. They're doing their backing, which reminds me, I got to click on that link.
Yeah, you go click at least $15, and you'll get some bonus GG, some geek gold. So we have a thread out in our guild called Free Micro Badge. Once we get this posted, even if you already have one, come back and say, I want the new one. We'll give you 8 geek gold so that you can proudly display, well, you can display, maybe not proudly, our RDTN secondary logo, which is like this cool little acorn. Again, that was designed by Fernanda. She had this idea of like the acorn thing, and she came up with that. So it looks really nice.
Can't wait to get it on the website. You got the logo files for me?
I do have the logo files.
Okay.
In fact, you've already uploaded them to Redbubble, where right now you can go and order a Rolling Dice and Taking Names t-shirt with the brand new logo on it.
That's it. For your Christmas pleasures, you can go ahead. We don't know if you're going to make it in time, but you can do that. And in seriousness, it doesn't matter. We're just putting it out there as because we've got to order one. Are you going to order me one?
I'll order you one if you order me one.
Okay, consider it done.
So we got that coming. So also, like I said, we're going to have some dice that we're going to make, but we're also really super excited within the next week or so. We're going to have a piece of merchandise that I've been jonesing for quite a while, Tony. That
Yes, you have. I'm tired of hearing about this.
I wanted to wait until we had the new logo before we did it.
That's right, a nutcracker with the squirrel image on it.
Dang it, that's actually pretty good. Maybe next year we'll
Next year, okay.
next towards a nutcracker. Maybe a squirrel cracker with
The
a
squirrel, yeah,
squirrel
uh-huh.
nut. Yeah, there you go. A lot of people have their glasses, right?
Yes.
You have, Jamie and the Secret Cabal who has their famous Secret Cabal pint glasses and everything, and Blue Peg, Pink Peg have their glasses, and so
Brawling Brothers, everybody.
we need some glassware, and it's like, but everybody does pint glasses and whiskey glasses and little things like that. What can we do that's different? And it was like, well, duh.
Bottles.
Okay, maybe not duh.
Oh, not bottles?
Not bottles.
I mean, okay, fine. I was thinking, baby bottles. That'd be kind of cool.
Okay, well, we could probably do baby bottles.
Okay, so what kind did we get? I just saw the invoice come across. What'd you get?
What is one thing that is very Southern and a lot of people around here?
Whiskey bottles.
It is whiskey.
Moonshine
You're
jugs.
close. Moonshine, you're getting even closer. Moonshiners used to carry a lot of their moonshine in mason jars.
Oh.
Mason jars are very much a staple thing in the South where people use them not only for canning, but for their moonshine and even tea. A lot of people around here just have mason jars that they come out and have a nice cool glass of iced tea like myself. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have mason jars with the Rolling Dice and Taking Names logo on the side of the jar available for purchase, and they will be available very soon. They're in the process of being produced right now.
And there will be a link on our website telling you how to do it, and it's going to be a simple Google form, not a survey, but a form. You're going to fill it out indicating the number of mason jars you want. Now, of course, all orders must be, we believe that you should have a complete set. So, the minimum you can buy is, I'm kidding, the minimum you can buy is 1, not 6, not 12. However, if you are hosting dinner parties, you may just want to think about 6. I mean, don't skimp on 1. Or if you've got a good game of RPG going on, everybody should be drinking. And then if you get the color tops you can buy at Target where you can insert the straw into the mason jars, that makes it even better. Yeah.
And see, mason jars have a little bit lower center of gravity because they're fat and lower. They're harder to knock over than regular
Which
pint
you
glasses.
should know all about that.
And I do know all about that.
Sippy cups.
Sippy cups. Now that's it. Maybe we need to look into merchandising the new logo on some sippy cups.
But back to it, there'll be a Google form, and basically it'll be a PayPal payment.
PayPal.
Yes, to the Rolling Dice Taking Names PayPal account, and then we'll get those shipped out. I'm just so glad they're arriving at Marty so he can organize all that. And we'll just come over and have a big old party.
Yeah, because the minimum number was a lot, and we're going to get that shipment, and Vanessa's going, what did you get? I'm like, So here's the thing. We need people to order these so they haven't got to be sitting around the house and taking up a lot of space. And so we'll let you know as soon as they're available for order and we get the form set up. We're trying to come up with the price right now. It won't be bad. We're trying to keep these as reasonable as possible just to make sure that we cover our cost and make sure that we cover any additional costs that we had for, setup fees and the shipping package. We want to make sure that they're shipped safely. Tony's already actually been looking at some boxes to ship these in to make sure they're packaged.
I got tons of boxes right now. They might be a little big, but I got tons of boxes right now.
One huge box with one little jar inside of it.
But you know what? I'm tired of talking about the anniversary.
Okay.
It's been 5 years. I mean, this could have been episode 0 if we ever put together an episode 0.
Do we have to now?
No, I don't think so. I think you should be able to cut and put this at the beginning. Just call this episode 0.
Yeah,
what
we
I
probably
think.
need to.
I think we would do that. I think it would work well. But to celebrate the 5th episode, this is more important. Be sure to listen throughout the whole episode because there is a very special contest that we will tell you about later. Shh. Quiet. Shh. Hush, hush. It will be later in the episode. I'm not even going to put a link to it in the blog. So therefore, you can't just go and scan to it right away. That's
mean.
You got to pay for it.
Wow.
So as always, there's going to be a contest to celebrate our 5th year, and there will be the survey that's coming out this year. Yes, the standard 10-question survey. That's right. You've got to fill out a survey this year, please. Tell us all about what we do right, wrong, like episode 134 sucked. You're welcome to say that. I don't know. It's going to be so good, man. We are having such a good time producing and doing this show.
Oh, you're transitioning to something else? Are you talking about you're going to be so good like it was the survey?
Yes, I'm trying to transition to something else. After 5 years, you'd think I'd know how to do a transition.
You know how to do this. Look, we talked about a couple games that we're going to be doing. Why don't we just go ahead over here and we'll talk about the game that you and I finished playing, and had some awkward moments in there. A game that's actually available now at Walmart called Fog of Love.
5-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
That's right, Fog of Love.
Are you singing it in a song?
Fog of Love. That's right.
That's right. It's the Fog of Love.
Hey, you had to, in this game, sing.
I did. One of the cards said sing, and then you respond with what I was singing, and I was hoping you would start singing along with me because I wanted that
special
token.
token, didn't you?
And you didn't do it. You did something else. She was like, well, that was embarrassing. I was like, oh, that's not the one I wanted.
So we got this game at Gen Con. They were kind enough to give us a review copy. Now, this was designed by Jacob Jaskoff. I believe I got that correct. He said it a couple times for me, but it's been a few months, and this is is it Hush Hush Games, Marty?
Hush Hush Projects.
Hush Hush Projects, and it's available at Walmart for around $50. It is out now, came out in December. And at the heart of this is a co-op game where you... Or
this can be also competitive. It's
It
quite
can be.
competitive. You can win together, or one can win and the other can lose.
at the heart of this game there are destiny cards that determine how you win at the end. And these destiny cards are measuring your happiness that you're tracking on a card. They're measuring these personal traits that are out in the middle of the board where you are placing tokens. And basically on your turn, all you are doing is selecting a card from your hand. They're called scenes, and you're playing that scene, and it gives the partner options, or you both choose. Like I asked Marty tonight when we were playing Fog of Love, want to watch an erotic movie with me?
That was that was awkward, and obviously my answer was no, I do not. But it's all these little different scenes, like, hey, I just got a haircut, what do you think?
Yeah.
And then the partner responds, and again, where you're trying to boost certain traits, because you also have secret objective cards, right? They're
the
these
destiny
trait
cards.
There are these trait cards.
Oh, the trait cards. That's right.
That you select at the beginning of the game that says at the end of the game, I want these certain personality traits, either a positive or negative type of trait, and you're trying to get enough tokens on that side so at the end of the game you get some bonus points. So lots of times you'll put a card out there hoping that they'll answer the question a certain way to boost that type of trait.
Yes, and it's going back and forth because if there's the negative side of the trait, it counts against all the positive, and so you're sitting there trying to manipulate that.
But some of the traits do want negatives.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I had one.
That's
Yeah.
right. Not all of them were positive. So it's very much a role-playing game, because at the beginning, you're dealt out these traits, and it's like these traits were like, let's see, it was things like...
Well, you had long blonde, no, traits, not the characteristics.
Not the features.
Not the features.
Yeah, I had features. I had like nice eyes and long blonde hair. And I was a politician. You also get to pick an occupation too. And the idea is with these traits and your occupation, you're supposed to role play. And I think that's the core of the game. And I think that if you get this game, you've got to get into the role playing aspect, and you've really got to like a narrative game to really appreciate this game in full.
Yes, if you are a gamer's game, you are going to sit there and just like what Marty and I guess digressed into.
We kind of digressed as we went because we stopped reading the narratives, and instead we're trying to mechanically try to make sure that we got the right stats boosted to try to win, and we lost the role-playing narrative part of the game.
Right, but since we didn't know the traits, I couldn't get you to choose possibly the right choice of between A, B, C, or D. I kind of led you with the card, hoping you would get the right one that would not hurt me as negatively as one that could go positive, because maybe there were some situations where you'll become more happy.
That's right.
And so for me, I mean, I think that's key to this game. You've got to have that partner who wants to role play along with you.
Right. And the thing is, what was kind of confusing to me is like, do you role play as yourself or do you role play as this person? And I think you said you played with Donna and y'all role played as yourselves, and that didn't work exactly.
That did not work well. That was bad.
So you're supposed to role play as that character. But it was kind of weird, you and I playing these and asking these really bizarre questions. It's like, I'm kind of uncomfortable right now, and I feel like I need to use a safe word or something like that.
I think you need to lose weight.
That's one of them, too. It looks like I'm gaining weight, and you're supposed to answer that in a certain way. This game has several different scenarios you play through. We played one that was called High School Sweethearts.
Yes.
But there are different ones that you can play out through.
And we got engaged.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
So we're laughing. We're having a blast talking about it. But I will say this, not a gamer's game. It's definitely a game. I think that if you want to role play with someone, it's a good game for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's one of those things you got to go into with a two-player. You sit across from each other. You have some laughs. You maybe learn a little bit about them, but you got to play that role. You got to be into narrative games. And if you do, I think this is a really cool game. The components look great. The art looks great. It's really high-class stuff. So, again, this is A Fog of Love, and it's available at Walmart today.
5-minute initiative is complete.
The Broken Token has been sponsoring Rolling Dice and Taking Names for almost our entire existence. That's right, they've been with us almost from the start. Marty and I can't remember. We think it's 4 years.
That's worth a cowbell, baby!
Oh, in the echoey basement, that just hurt my head. But you know what doesn't hurt my head, Marty?
What's that?
When I open a game and I see a broken token organizer, I know that the setup is going to be there for me, especially with the new Betrayal on the House on the Hill organizer that they have come out with. That is going to make setup of that game so much nicer.
Yes, it will. And if you don't have Betrayal on the House on the Hill, well, they got plenty other game organizers and inserts for plenty of games that are probably on your shelf. They have a great website where you can go and filter by the games that they have or search for a particular game and see if there's an organizer that'll fit the game that you're looking for.
Speaking of great games, we know Gloomhaven seconded printing is hitting the stores or hitting the backers right now. Broken Token, they got it solved for you. Get out there, take a look at it. That's the Gloomhaven organizer. Or better yet, you want to take another game up a level? Go check out their Pandemic organizer. I know I have one, and it made one of my moving boxes incredibly heavy, but that's okay. Go to thebrokentoken.com.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
Renegade Games has been on a tear this year, and one of their latest games is one I was really excited to try. It's called Pie Town. This game is designed by Daniel Fremgen, and at its core, this is a worker placement game that uses dice. But when you hear about dice in a game that maybe sound like it's a kind of a Euro-y game, you think, oh no, we're going to be rolling dice and there's going to be luck involved. There's no rolling of these dice at all. The whole purpose of these dice are they're just different levels of your workers, and you want some high-level workers that can go out and do things for you. Mainly, go out, get you some ingredients, and bake you some pies, Tony.
And score victory points! Hey, we get victory points!
Well, you just ruined the whole theme of it.
No, well, I'm sorry. I mean, we had fun with the game, especially since we got to eat pie. You had to make a pie for that.
Right. We had two pies that we were playing, that we were eating as we were playing this game. You started the game with two dice that are your workers, and there's different spots on the board you can go do things. There's the orchard. You take your worker, you go out there. Whatever the value of the die is how many of ingredients you're going to get back, and then you can bring them back. And Tony, you can go and bake those pies.
And when you bake those pies, you score victory points. Yay! So you're going to go bake some pies, and when you bake some pies, you put them on a board and say, okay, I'm baking them with common ingredients or rare and common ingredients, or I got a secret recipe.
The secret recipe. Now, there's a deduction element to this game, is somewhat of a twist. At the beginning of the game, you have these different types of ingredients. You have common and rare. The rare ones are like strawberries, bananas, and pumpkins.
Yep.
And at the beginning, you pick 2 common ingredients and 1 rare, and that's your secret recipe. And they give you this cute little box to put your secret recipe in. And over the course of the game, you're trying to make pies with that secret recipe because they score the highest points. But you don't want people to guess what they are,
because they can then steal your pie recipe.
And then score some points by making that exact same pie. So when you place a die into the oven, whatever the value of that die is how many pies you get to make. So let's say you go out there and you have one that can make 2 pies. You present everybody 6 tokens, and you say, from those 6 tokens, I'm going to make 1 recipe and 1 that's a common rare. Now, you don't tell people what the ingredients associated with what pie, but they try to deduce from that, maybe, I see a pumpkin and I see a banana, so that means I know that the strawberries isn't part of his rare. And they actually give you a little board with a little wipe-off board with a pen to take notes on.
They also, just like in all games, you can unlock additional workers. You can unlock another oven. If you bake pies, you get 1 victory point, or you can get 2 victory points. That's all these upgrades that you can do. Now, when you do an upgrade, your workers drop in their level. That's the purpose of, you have to build up workers. If the worker goes to the orchard, he gains 1 back, where he increases his work capability. And that's the whole mechanic of leveling up and down your workers, because there's the key for me, Marty, in this game, is when you go and score your pies, when you place and sell your pies at the marketplace,
yes,
you are going to get the number of points based on what kind of pie you bake,
yes,
plus the worker level. And that's very important. Also on the board, if you place a worker to sell the pies, you can either clear the column if it's one of the first 2 spots, or clear a row on the bottom. And this is where the rows and baking of pies comes in, because you can manipulate the marketplace and force people to have to sell your pies as well.
That's what really got to me, because there was this one type of pie I wanted to make, and I can't remember what combination it was. I think it was maybe common, rare, or something like that. There's only 4 slots available in a 3-player game, and I couldn't make the pies, and you people wouldn't sell them.
No,
and I didn't want to send my worker there to sell your pies because I wouldn't get any victory points. So that part was like, it was really getting on my nerves. So I spent my time going to the orchard. I upgraded my storage area so I could hold more ingredients in hopes that you guys would eventually sell, so that I can go to my ovens, bake some pies, and generate some victory points.
Yeah, and but the worker leveling them up, I like how a higher level worker can gather more resources in the orchard. Now, I was very surprised how quickly we were ramping up the scoring in that. First, it was starting out 7 points or 4 points or whatever, and then suddenly, boom, we're in the hundreds. I'm like, wow. That happened very quick.
It did, and the game plays over the course of 9 rounds. In the course of that game, we talked about the secret recipe. Like, if I figured out your secret recipe, Tony, you can actually go to a place on the board, decrease one of the values of your die, and change the secret recipe in your box so I can't make it anymore. And then after 9 rounds, at the very end, there's the final round where you try to guess what everybody else in their secret recipes, and if you guess 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3, you get some additional victory points. And at the very end, the person with the most victory points wins.
For me, I think this is a great entry-level type worker placement game. I'm a little concerned about the longevity of it, and if something else would replace it. Fun game, but overall, I'm really concerned about how long or how much replayability I would get out of it.
For me, you use the term as very prescriptive. It seems like you do these steps. You upgrade this, upgrade this, upgrade this. It seems like the very step, but I think that's great for people who are just getting into worker placement games. I think the theme is great. Something like Gentis will go over somebody's head. The idea of, like, I got a worker that needs to go collect stuff, that needs to go bake, that needs to go sell. It makes sense. I love the idea of the workers that have different levels. So for me, I would keep it on my shelves just for teaching people who aren't into gaming a little bit how worker placement games work, and I think they would get it and really enjoy it. That's Pie Town from Renegade Games.
5-minute initiative is complete.
One of the great friends of our show is Ignacy Chevichek from Portal Games, and Portal Games has been a sponsor of ours for many years too, and we gave it to the Broken Token, so let's give a cowbell to Portal Games! You want a Tylenol now?
I need Advil, yes. That's special. But life is never like it's a sunny day on the beach. But if you get the new Robinson Crusoe 2nd edition, you can get that card. That's right. I see what I did there.
From us. Actually, it was Tony's idea, who was complaining that there was no sunny day on the beach.
But that incredible designer, Ignacy, he put it in the game like all of his incredible games. Let's face facts. If you haven't played Robinson, you're missing something. First Martian co-op game out there that Marty and I are still hoping that we will win. We know we beat it the first time, but we will see on the second time, see how that goes. Neuroshima Hex, still one of our faves.
Yes, it is. And there's a new game coming out next year in the Neuroshima Hex universe that we can't wait to see. They never rest on their laurels over at Portal Games, so if you want to make sure you keep up what's going on, go make sure to join up subscribe to their newsletter, follow on their website at portalgames.pl, and make sure to follow their YouTube page where Ignacy is constantly making videos.
And if you go check out, I think it was the past 3 videos, just go back 3 videos, you get to see angry Ignacy. Or he said he was angry. I don't know. I can't imagine Ignacy ever being angry.
Just give him a cookie. He'll be fine. We've made you sit through this long enough. We talked about and teased the contest earlier in the episode. As Tony said, to enter this contest, it's going to be really easy. Just please go fill out our survey, which is only going to be, what, Tony, 10 easy questions, right?
10 easy questions.
Don't make them write an essay or anything like that.
Because I don't want to read it. I mean, I do incredible surveys over on the Guild. One choice only, Masili. That's all you need. You may have to pick up a couple multiple boxes on certain ones. Like, for some odd reason, Marty always wants to know, where'd you download our episode from? What'd you hear from us? I don't know why. You want me to put that question in again?
Well, yeah, it should be. We need to know where people are coming from to make sure it's supported.
Fine, whatever. I'll do it. That's one less question I got to write.
That's right. And also, if you want another entry into the contest, just go and join our guild. That's it. Go to Guild 1589 or just search for our name, Rolling Dice and Taking Names. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's Join Guild. Click it, and you've got an automatic entry into this contest. And Tony, people are going to want to be a part of this contest because what are they going to win?
That's right. You're going to win a copy of Fog of... No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not giving away my copy of Fog of Love.
No, this is a therapy copy. Between your marriage and my marriage, we can use this, and it's a lot cheaper than going to therapy.
Yes, exactly. Could you imagine me playing that question with Don? You want to watch an erotica movie with me?
Hey, maybe you're surprised what she says.
No. Anyway,
okay.
That's right. They are going to love this. Our good buddies. Okay, I guess buddies over at Funagain, but definitely our good buddy,
yes,
Nick, is hooking you people up. He's going to hook you up, and then you can order a whole bunch of games on this contest. You know, on our 100th episode, Nick hooked us up with a $100 gift card.
That's correct.
But he did a little bit better this time.
What he did is, Nick, would you like to sponsor a contest for our 5th anniversary?
Of course.
He said, of course I do. Here's a code for $200.
That's it. If you people are not running over to do the survey right now, joining the guild, what up with that? What's wrong with you?
It's easy. You just get a code that'll dump $200 into your account over funagain.com that you can just use anytime you want. Think of all the games you can get with $200.
Or the one game.
What one game's $200?
What was that one he was running special on? War Beast or War? There was.
I don't know. Okay, there probably is a $200 game, but anyway,
think about all the puzzles you can get.
Or Funko items. Yeah, you can get all the little Funko dudes.
There was one puzzle. I want this puzzle. It's an atlas of the world, kind of like it was like 3,000 pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
I wouldn't spend my $200 on that. But look, you can spend your $200 on whatever you want. Again, all you got to do, fill out the survey. We got a link in the blog. Or that's one entry. Or just join the guild. That's the even easier entry. And we'll just randomly pick. This contest will close January 1st.
Sure. That sounds good to me. I got to remember that. January 1st. It's on the calendar. January 1st. You've got till then. So that means the survey is going to run from now to January 1st. So what I'm hearing you say is you need to take time from your festivities, whatever you're doing over the next 2 weeks, and get in this contest. You need to fill out a survey and join a guild. Can you do that? Do not get distracted. Do not get all tied up in these holiday festivities. You need to get over to the guild. You need to fill out a survey because it's going to close quick.
Yes, it will. So again, $200 gift card to Funagain. Thank you for all those that do provide feedback. It does make a difference. Tony and I look at each one of these surveys. It does help us tweak things. This is how the whole 5-minute initiative came about, Tony. People said, we don't want to hear about rules. We really don't care about components. Just tell us what you think about the game.
And we're still working on that.
And we said, well, maybe then we only need to talk about this for like 3 or 4 minutes. So that's how we came with the 5-minute initiative. That's why most of our reviews are in that length, because you said, just give us your thoughts quick, whether you like it or not, because it's just our opinion. You know, we're just giving our opinion. It's not like whether you should buy it or not. We hope we can just give you enough about the game so that you can make an informed decision. Maybe you want to go research it some more, learn how to play it, but at least we'll give you our thoughts on it. So those surveys do make a difference. You've told us that more designers, less publishers. So we've tried to honor that, try to get some more incredible, talented designers to come on and talk about the games they design and the processes they go through.
I thought the 5 minute was because of my attention span.
It probably was, because as I was sitting here talking to you, I could tell your eyes were glazing over right there.
Well, man, I'm just like 5 minutes, about as long as I can hold it. That's it. I'm done with that. Unless it's a game that really, oh, yeah, that's a good one. Then I need to spend a little time about that, like Gentis. Why is that game still coming? I want to play that game. Go get that game. We need to go play that game.
We might get a game, but remember, it's going to be the cool deluxe version coming out from TMG and Kickstarter.
Ooh.
Hey, I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Oh, I can't wait to back that. But I do want to throw some, shade is bad. Throw some love is good, right?
Throwing love sounds good.
Okay. So, giving love. Want to give some love to Nick over at Funagain and being our sponsor. Want to take a little moment here because...
Do you want to give him a cowbell?
Nick gets a cowbell? I think Nick needs a big old cowbell.
Here's your cowbell!
I don't know if you know this, Marty, but Nick has been fulfilling not only his sell orders over the Thanksgiving holiday, but he has been putting out over 7,000 Gloomhaven orders
Yeesh.
at the same time.
So he's been busy. Yeah, so the Funagain is the fulfillment facility for the latest edition of Gloomhaven.
Yeah. So I know everybody's jonesing for their Gloomhaven. I know that. But think about that. 7,000. I can't wait to see you fill out the mason jar orders that are coming in. Could you only imagine doing 7,000 mason jar orders?
That would be cool, but I know I can't imagine that.
And he's been running over the holidays. He ran 3 special sales over there at this site. He does his SM Mule service, which we got in our Montana game. We got in Merlin.
And we got in Clans of Sidonia.
Sure.
Sidonia. It's laying down over there. I can't see that.
But he's had that one. And then he does that 35% off weekly special. Ex Libris was on there recently. But we do want to say a big thank you to Nick for being our third sponsor for Rolling Dice and Taking Names and helping us along and being the guy who says, hey, guys, I think you should really look into this game. He does.
He does that. In fact, he's the one that turned us on to Gentis.
That's right.
He's the one, guys. You might want to check this out. I just wish
West
we'd have
of
played it
Africa.
earlier. And West of Africa, he's the one that turns us on that too. So, big thanks to Funagain. Yeah, things are going on all over this industry, Tony. I mean, we talked about earlier how all these games that are coming out that people can't keep up with. What's amazing is there's so many of these different types of things that are bouncing back. Did you see about this where the latest Dungeons and Dragons book, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, was number 1 on the New York Times nonfiction bestseller list? Number 1, a D&D book.
I didn't know they still did books number 1. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you still printed books.
Is there not 2 surprises to this? Number 1, that it's number 1. Number 2, it's on the nonfiction list.
Oh, nonfiction list.
Xanathar's Guide
paying
to
attention
Everything
now.
is on the nonfiction list. And people are like,
Wait a minute.
why? I guess because it's a guide to how to play D&D.
Okay.
So I would not have guessed that. But that is really cool. And also the fact that since it's been released, it's the fastest selling D&D book in its 43-year history. It's like a resurgence of this game. Another resurgence. I've talked about Games Workshop in the past and how it's come around.
Oh, good gosh.
No, listen to me.
Oh, I thought are you going to do Shadespire again?
The Shadespire's sitting right over there. We can play.
Are you going to talk about this again?
The point of sales have increased over 53% in the past year, and their stock has gone up 174%.
How much did you invest?
Like I did with Bitcoin Zero.
Okay.
No, but what I'm saying is we talked about this industry and how much has changed over the 5 years. 5 years ago, D&D 4th edition was
Yeah.
nobody was playing it. It was all Pathfinder. Games Workshop was hurting. Remember, Privateer Press was the thing. And in 5 years, it's amazing just how things can change. And I can't wait to see what happens 5 years from now. And I hope that we're still sitting here across from each other and still doing our 10-year episode.
You know what would happen in another 5 years from now?
What's that?
We would actually start thinking about retirement because I think we start becoming eligible for various free things at that age. I know we get discounted coffee.
Yeah, that's true.
We might even, I don't know.
We need to
When do
see-
senior tickets start at the movies?
You know what we need to do? We need to contact Nick at Funagain and ask him when does the senior discount begin?
That's it. We can do that. I'm all for the senior
Get an extra
discount.
5% all your orders for all seniors.
Yeah, I
That'd be
mean, the
sweet.
diamond level, I forget
Yeah.
what the senior
And
teas
then
and
there's the
golf.
senior level.
There's
Yeah,
the
it's
senior.
like the blue plate special. If you order between 5 and 6 every day, you get a special discount.
I can embrace the age. Yes, 5 years from now, I hope to be sitting here. You know what I hope to be doing in 2018?
What's that?
Well, first off, we're going to take a little break.
Yes, we are. This is typically where we'll take off one episode at the end of the year, and mainly it's for Tony and I kind of just recharge our batteries, kind of reset things, look at the surveys, but also start hard and heavy on the squirrely episode. But yes, we will be taking a break.
But in 2018, I hope we'll get a game of role-playing in. You just mentioned it.
Oh my gosh. See, you're just teasing me now. I
That's
see
right.
you're teasing me.
So I think in the fog of love, we need a question like, hey, you want to play a role-playing game with me?
Sounds like
There might be one. We just haven't seen
you're
it.
just teasing me because you've been teasing that all year and it hasn't happened. I would love to.
Okay, well, 2018, that's the year. Going to make that happen. My game topper's going to be there. We're going to make it at the new house. We are going to have a blast. We're going to sit down. We're going to invite everybody over. We might have Skype some people in, give us a full episode or a full RPG event, but we are going to make it happen. That will be my New Year's resolution.
Well, that would be great.
I hope so. I hope it will work.
Before we close out here, I just want to thank everybody for the 5 years that you've been listening to the show. Whether you've been listening for 5 years, whether you've been listening for 2 episodes, we just appreciate all those that support us, that communicate with us. That's the main thing about this show for us. It's opened up doors that we never would have had to talk to some great people like yourselves and to designers and publishers and other content creators. And Tony, it has been a pleasure doing this for 5 years. There's nobody else I would rather do this with. It's been, he and I, like I said, we've been friends for, 30 years.
Yes.
It's been about 30 years, and there's nobody I'd rather be co-hosting with, and that's why I can't wait to see where the next 5 years is going to go. So a big thank you for all those that listened, and a big thank you to you.
Thank you to you for all you do for the Rolling Dice and Taking Names show. I do appreciate it. And now I may want to, didn't you have a man crush going on somebody else from Man versus Meeple or something?
Oh, David Waybright?
Yeah, Are you sure? Sure it's not me? Are you sure? Okay.
Well,
I'm just checking on this. Maybe I should have played Fog of Love with him.
I've already got you. I'm still chasing him.
Oh, is that how that works? I see how this is going. Yes, it's been a great 5 years. I look forward to the next 5, 10, or however long. I can't wait for my prediction to come true that the board gaming industry will bust.
Well, thank goodness we'll have our cooking show by then.
That's right.
Speaking of which, in 2018, I've been told that I can tease this.
Tease it.
Vanessa, my wife, has agreed that in 2018 we want to start cranking up our YouTube channel, and we want to start doing more things with it. One thing that we're going to be doing is she and I are going to start a little cooking segment, and we're going to call it Slice and Dice. I was waiting for a reaction.
There is no
He just kind of cocked his eyes at me. So
okay,
it's like
slice and dice. Okay.
Hey,
it's better than what we came up with on Blue Bag, Pink Bag, recipes and colonoscopies.
That does kind of rhyme, though.
Yes.
And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing how some of the recipes that we made, like the cinnamon roll apple pie, we'll show how that's made, and then we're going to rate it. How easy is it to make, and is it board game friendly? Because, there are some foods that you make that you really probably shouldn't have at the board game table, and we'll be talking about some of those. And so it's going to be fun. She and I are going to get in the kitchen. We're going to share some recipes, and we're going to open up the lines on YouTube and stuff that you can share your recipes, and maybe we can talk about those. That's something coming in 2018. And Tony, we haven't talked about this either, but in 2018, we're also going to start a new crowdfunding campaign.
Cool.
On Pod Pledge. There's been a lot going on with the Patreon service where they've started charging those the people who donate. They're charging them a fee, and we actually had a poll on the BGG Guild saying whether it should be Pod Pledge or Patreon. Pod Pledge was slightly winning, but when this was announced, Pod Pledge took a huge lead. So we're going to be going back to them. We used them in 2015, so be looking for that coming in January. And the whole purpose of that is for some of the stuff that we talked about. We do want to do more stuff on YouTube. Tony has a great idea for a segment he wants to do on YouTube. So we just want to get some nice lights. We got to make sure that things look good, but also because thankful to listeners like you, our downloads have skyrocketed this past year to where we've had to upgrade our servers not once, but twice, and our hosting costs have doubled this year. And so having a little bit of help to offset those costs would be a great help. And this, it's a good problem to have. So it's just kind of setting us up. We did it in 2015. We kind of got set. We didn't do one this past year, and we're going to do one this year. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. We'll be talking more about that in our first episode coming back in January. So we're going to be looking at Pod Pledge to do that.
Yes, and it is just one of those things that, Marty and I look at it from the standpoint, if you want to.
Oh, no, yes. This show will always be free. It will always be free. It's, again, just to kind of help maybe offset some of the costs that we've incurred this past year because of our double upgrades that we've had to go through.
Can I do my ending line yet? Are you done?
Hold on. Let's see. Pod Pledge, thanking everybody, thanking you.
Please be done.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Keep rolling dice.
And taking names. Thanks so much for listening to our 5th anniversary episode, and thank you so much for being with us all these years. We love this community, and we can't wait to see what happens in the future. And we just hope that every couple weeks, that for an hour to an hour and a half, we can put a smile on your face as we talk about this hobby that we like so much. Can't wait to see what happens in the future, and we'll see you in 2018.
Close your eyes. Can you guess where I'm taking you? A, to a secret party with famous people and champagne. B, I don't know. I lost track of where we are going. I think I got an answer for you and I right there. C, to the local square to listen to the street storytellers' sentimental love stories. A, B, or C?
Yeah. Can we just play Pie Town again instead?
Funagain.com.
Are we singing every commercial now?
Yeah, funagain.com.
You just were so excited to sing on Blue Peg, Pink Peg when we got to do their re-roll song, and now you want to sing on our show.
That's right, funagain.com. Go to funagain.com for all your latest gaming needs. I can't sing, and I know that, but be sure to go to funagain.com. You can get Puzzles, Funko, all the greatest
Puzzles, Funko,
greatest games that are out there. Be sure to get out there. Thanks again, Nick. We appreciate everything you do for Rolling Dice and Taking Names. Funagain.com.
Is that going to be their new jingle?
I hope not. I hope you can pay for more than that.